it now. The one guy we were discussing that's going to stay in college football is LaNorris Sellers. Now, I like the fact that he's staying into college football because I believe he is nowhere near ready to be an NFL starting quarterback this upcoming season. I think what we've seen from LaNorris Sellers this year and South Carolina as a whole was horrible. But I don't think it is all on LaNorris Sellers. Obviously, everybody wants to straight blame the offensive line. The offensive line for South Carolina was horrendous. I'm not going to say it wasn't. But LaNorris Sellers was also pretty bad as well. His rushing stats were down this year. When we look at the touchdown to interception ratio, you're getting 13-8. I get it. He has some rushing touchdowns to go along with it. But LaNorris Sellers, from a decision-making standpoint, is just flat out not there yet. And again, could LaNorris Sellers has entered the transfer portal? Yeah, he could have done that. I think he probably should have done that because, again, you look at 2 years with South Carolina, what has that really done for him? We see LaNorris Sellers as a supreme athlete, but again, his decision-making hasn't took a jump. For LaNorris Sellers right now, you could look at him and say, hey, when he's running down the sideline, this guy looks like Cam Newton to me, the way he's breaking tackles with his front end speed. When you look at the one deep ball he hits a game, you could say, hey, his arm strength is through the roof. But again, we've seen guys that have everything very similar to LaNorris Sellers, from the physical frame to the speed to the arm strength. You could have everything, but if you can't run an offense consistently, if you can't consistently move the change, do the regular things right, those wild plays don't really tend to matter. And that's what we saw with LaNorris Sellers and South Carolina this year. Again, just the inconsistency from down to down, again, has a lot to do with the offensive line. But an offensive line and a quarterback, they work together and they can make themselves look a lot better or a lot worse depending on each other. Again, you have a really good offensive line, you can make the quarterback look better. You have a really good quarterback, you can make the offensive line look better. Unfortunately for South Carolina, they had a really bad offensive line and they had a quarterback that couldn't really have the right time frame in his head on when to get rid of the ball. And I 100% understand, like, LaNorris Sellers, South Carolina, if you have a bad offensive line, you're going to tend to press. You're going to tend to make a lot of uncharacteristic plays. When you're not getting a clean pocket from down to down, or, again, a clean pocket for 60% of the time, you're going to tend to try to do too much just because of what's going on. But I feel like he did not help them at all. And like I said, in the beginning of the year, I think LaNorris Sellers is a way better NFL draft prospect due to these insane intangibles than he is a good college football quarterback right now. Like I said, I believe he has to develop. I think if he would have went to the NFL, he would have had to sat probably 2-3 years at least because he's just flat out not ready. Now what do I think about him going back to South Carolina? Like I said, I'm not in love with it. I would have loved for him to go to maybe like a slightly above average Big 12 or ACC school that could focus their development on him, but also would be a school where they're not in over their head with their in-conference schedule and competition. Because when you look at South Carolina, and I don't know what South Carolina guaranteed him, they might have said, hey, LaNorris, we're going to really try to revamp this offensive line. We're going to really try to get the right pieces around you. But let's face it, when you look at South Carolina, they are a bottom feeder in the SEC, and they're just outmatched in the trenches from game to game. And I don't think this is the right situation for LaNorris Sellers. Again, I think you see people do the same thing repetitively. And I said, like, the biggest thing with college football right now is you don't see guys stay in the same situation. But I feel LaNorris Sellers is staying in the situation for, again, the wrong reasons. I don't think South Carolina is the right situation for him. We've seen 2 years of him in this situation. And again, what are we doing? We're still talking about the insane intangibles he has, but we're still talking about how he's not ready. And again, he had an insane outside threat this year in Nick Harbor. But Nick Harbor on the same lines of LaNorris Sellers. The size, the speed, what is he able to do? He's able to run a go route. That's what Nick Harbor is able to do. But when we see again, he doesn't have a diverse route tree. He's not able to really run routes. Again, that's his biggest outside threat. And LaNorris Sellers right now, I do understand the other side of it because when we look at LaNorris Sellers and we look at the landscape of college football right now, he can't really go to a college football playoff contender because, again, where once they were really looking on focus of developing a quarterback to the NFL, these college football playoff teams are really looking somebody to run this offense consistently and make a deep run in the college football playoffs. I don't think LaNorris Sellers was ready to do that. And again, South Carolina did offer him a lot of money. I don't know if he would have found an ACC team or a Big 12 team that would have offered him the same amount of money to stay. And for a guy like LaNorris Sellers, like I said, who to me personally is far away from a starting NFL quarterback, he may want to take that guaranteed money that's in front of him right now because he may not get that opportunity. We see time and time again in college football how unpredictable it is, especially this year as a great example. LaNorris Sellers, a guy that was looked at as possibly going into the year, going to be a first round in the NFL draft. Now he's staying. He might want to take that guarantee money. Again, if he doesn't improve what he's able to do consistently, down to down, making the right play, that money might be what he needs because he's not going to be an NFL starting quarterback. Again, like I said, you could have everything when it comes to arm strength, physical stature, speed. We've seen this story time and time again, whether it's a first round pick or a late round pick with an Anthony Richardson, with a Joe Milton. What has that done for them right now? Nothing. You got to be able to improve what you're able to do from down to down. I don't know if South Carolina is going to be the right place for that. That's my gripe towards it. I do like how he did stay in college because, like I said, he's flat out not ready to be an NFL quarterback right now. Just being blunt, just being honest. But, again, I don't hate the move because, like I said, South Carolina offered him money up front. I don't know about the destinations, but, again, we're going to talk about 4 guys that entered the transfer portal that are pretty hyped as well, and it just keeps coming and coming. So I don't know what the other options would have been for him. I don't know if he could have found an above-average Big 12 or ACC team that would have offered him around the same money. Again, may not be a bad move for him taking the money right now because if he doesn't consistently develop, in my opinion, his NFL ceiling will not be that